It seems like there's a growing anti-feminist movement within a lot of different religious communities, and it's interesting that you brought up earlier kind of an interfaith feminism and a kind of interfaith swapping of ideas and growing of different theories, because there seems to be definitely an interfaith component to the backlash as well. I was wondering if you agree first, and if so, what that looks like in your community. Is it just backlash as feminism begins to influence even traditional communities, or is it something else? And I think as part of that, in terms of the gender roles, and I'm interested not just in clerical positions, but also gender roles within marriage, which seems to spark a lot of thought and a lot of controversy. What's your response to those who say that maintaining those traditional marital gender roles is necessary for the survival of the faith, or in some cases, even the people?
Well, firstly, I think that a marriage that's not based on equal gender roles will have a much harder time of surviving, and so I think that's something that all communities have to learn. But is there a backlash? It's a really odd thing, because it's true not just about religious feminism, but it's true about secular feminism, which is the younger generation of women have distanced themselves from feminism, including those who have had the most to gain from feminism. You know, I would say the anti-feminist who sits at a corner office and looks out of her Park Avenue, law office, and then, lambasts feminism or derides feminism. And it's, in our organization, the Jewish Orthodox Feminist Alliance, we're always struggling with how to get younger women involved in and sort of carry on the next generation, the next roles. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, there's certain things by which you measure progress in a community, and I think there's been enormous progress in all of the denominations in Judaism. And I must say, as I was listening to you, Asra, I was thinking, I felt a certain amount of sadness and pain, because the problems of, that women suffer, the honor killings and, acid in the face, and and how women are treated under suspicion and so forth in your community is something that, we're relatively free of in the Jewish community. Our problems seem so mild in comparison, and sometimes I feel guilty that we're spending time on issues that could be solved so easily, and that we should putting our efforts to issues of, women victims of rape, women vulnerable in war, women in poverty, the more global issues that face women all over the world. But in the fundamentalist, in the ultra-right-wing fundamentalist community, there's some rabbis, who have decreed for that community that women can no longer drive, or limit women. Mm-hmm. Women can't work in certain kinds of positions. But that characterizes a very small, very fundamentalist, very rigid, very sexist, very authoritarian community. That doesn't characterize, I would say, the bulk of the Jewish community by any means.
Well, yeah, I definitely don't think that you should feel any guilt, because to me, it's all a continuum of social progress and social movement. And, the challenges we have today are ones that your traditions had centuries ago. I mean, bottom line is Hester Prynne, as a literary character, came out of a Christian community, right? The phenomena of stoning women also came out of some Jewish traditions. And these are all realities that are part of that continuum. So the further you get away from it, to me, is progress for our global civilization. And then only when we realize complete social justice in our religious communities, then can we actualize social justice in the larger community. And then it also serves as an inspiration. I mean, equaling the playing field in all the communities serves then to make our inequity even more obviously wrong, in my estimation. And so keep doing what you're doing, and do it as fast as you can. No pressure or anything like that.
Thank you for that gift.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
the backlash that we're seeing in the Episcopal Church is that women are now, like our presiding bishop, moving into positions of authority in major. She is the major figure in the Episcopal Church, but women are now becoming rectors, that means the head pastor, in large churches. Trinity Copley Square in Boston, which is one of our major churches, St. Columbus in Washington, in Beverly Hills is the woman rector. These women are now beginning to experience what women who, like me in the 80s, were going into small churches, what it meant to have a woman in leadership. These churches have had assistants for sometimes almost 30 years. And everybody says, oh, it's great, we've had women, there's no problem. But when the woman is in the authority position, there is beginning to be some backlash as they are being sought after for these positions, and committees call them because they're ready to do this, they think. And then the woman gets there and assumes that, and the backlash comes. And obviously the roles in families have been changing for a long time. My own in particular, when I married in 1960, I expected to work until my husband was able to support us, and then I could stay at home and raise the children and do those kinds of things. When I moved out into the world in the 70s, you know, the dynamic shifted, and they are shifting in many homes, and single women who are raising their children and taking their positions, as you say, in offices that have lots of windows on K Street in Washington as well as Park Avenue, and the differences that's making within the home of how the two persons work on the relationship. I agree with you. There needs to be equality, but there's still that understanding that maybe it's not quite as equal. I mean, I still, before I came here today, felt that I had to leave supper for my husband in Washington, D.C. before I came. Not that he's not capable of doing it, but now my daughter doesn't feel the same way.
And I bought a book by a Christian woman at the bookstore on, you know, being the super mom that can schedule everything just right, and took notes dutifully, reading carefully the scripture on exactly how to do this effectively in the 21st century. So,
no, it's there.
For powerful women, yeah, we're not that evil, right?